I've been wanting to do an update for a while on everything so that I can remember what's happened. Just to kind of memorialize what I've been going through for the past few weeks. So currently I'm on week 11 of a motorcycle accident. I was on a date, and on our way home from the ice cream place, we got in an accident. The police tell me that a car pulled in front of us. They did not have the right of way, and we T-boned them. I flew 50 feet in the air, and I had a lot of injuries to me. But something that is surprising to me and my family and everyone is the fact that I don't have a head injury. I got a concussion. I didn't have any scratches on my face or anything. My pelvis broke in 5 places. It broke off of the spine in the back on both sides. In the front, there are little circles on both sides. It broke down the middle on that. And then the pubic cartilage is gone. And so, initially, I had a big bar poking out of my body. There were about 4-inch nails poking out of both sides of my hips, and then a black bar connecting them. I don't remember much from the hospital. I remember waking up and asking my mom if it was real. It felt like a dream, like one of those dreams where you just can't wake up. And everything was foggy around my eyes. And I think it's because I was still coming out of the coma. I'm not sure. The coma that they put me in. They put me in a coma, I should say. Everything was foggy around. I remember that there was... so I remember asking my mom if it was real, and she told me yes. And I asked her over and over again because I didn't want it to be real. I was getting angry that she was telling me it was real because I was like, you're not understanding my question. Like, is this real? And she's like, yes, Sam, this is real. I remember my last maybe 2 nights in the CCU or ICU, intensive care, critical care. I think I was in the critical care. I was in the critical care, yes. So I was in the critical care for 5 days. And I remember the last 2 nights, it was just awful trying to sleep. I was just uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep on my sides or anything. I had to sleep straight because my pelvis was broken. I also had this big incision down my stomach because a lot of my organs were lacerated. I had 2 kidney bags poking out of my body because my bladder was destroyed in the accident, and I had a catheter. So I had all of this stuff hanging on me, and then I had a feeding tube in my nose and an IV in my hand or in my arm somewhere. And I remember it just being awful. Just trying to sleep was unreal. I remember I wasn't allowed to eat anything through my mouth. That's why they had the feeding tube. And I remember during speech therapy, they were like, let's try doing ice chips with Sprite in it. And so we convinced one of the nurses or CNAs to give me a cup of ice chips with Sprite in it, and Dad would spoon feed it to me. And I was really weak, and it was hard just swallowing that because I had a breathing tube down my throat for days before that. And then they brought me up to the trauma floor. And I remember the first few nights just being awful. I remember a lot of the nights being awful, but the first few nights were especially bad. I was uncomfortable all the time. I could not sleep They would give me medicine and I just wouldn't sleep. And I couldn't get comfortable. And it was just awful. So Mom would sit there and she would hold my hand and I'd just cry. I remember there were some nights where I'd sing children's hymns to try and just get through the pain, the misery that I was feeling. One night, my stomach stopped working. I was throwing up constantly, and they had to put this tube up my other nose, and it went down into my stomach and would suck out fluids from my stomach into this thing because my intestines weren't working. And they had to do that for like 15 hours or so until it finally stopped sucking up like a lot of that fluid. And I'm sure they would have kept it in longer, but I convinced one of the trauma doctors, like, please take this out of me. And he's like, well, leave it in until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon or whatever. And he's like, and then we'll take it out. And they took it out, and it was such a relief. Oh, it was awful. I could not sleep when it was in there because I could feel it in the back of my throat, and just like every movement, every breath, every movement of my tongue, it was there. And it was awful. I'm just thinking about it, just sitting here. It was awful. Let me make a separate video for more because this is getting long.